Welcome to episode 21 of the Adventuring for Mere Mortals podcast. I'm Kyle, joined by co-host Trevor, and this month we sit down with Executive Director of the Dream Team, Jeffrey Van Genderen, and 2023 team member Inez Chavez to hear about their experiences at RAGBRAI.
All right. So welcome to another episode. And this episode, we have Jeffrey Van Genderen and Inez Chavez from the Dream Team of Des Moines. We ran into these folks while we did RAGBRAI in July. And first we were kind of curious. We're like, what's going on with these kids that all have the same jersey? They look like they're having a blast out here doing RAGBRAI. Looked into it some more. And we're like, yeah, we got to get them on. So yeah, Jeff is the executive director of the Dream Team. And Inez is one of their team members who just finished her first season on the team. So that's you guys will do a much better job of explaining yourself and giving a little bit of an intro than us. So how about we start with you, Inez?
My name is Inez, and I'm 13 years old. When I first started Dream Team, I was 12, so I kind of just turned 13. And then I also have my older brother, Aaron, who's on the team as well, and my older sister, Kimmy, who is also on the team.
Awesome. What about you, Jeff?
Yeah, hey, Trevor and Kyle, thanks for having the Dream Team on here. Inez and I are excited about it. Really excited what you guys are doing about promoting the outdoors and everything. So, yeah, I'm the director of Dream Team. Been doing that. This is going to be the start of my second year. I've been a writing mentor with the team for 5 years. And then my very first year on Dream Team, I was actually a support mentor. And the support mentor, just a little background on what a support mentor is they provide all the food. Dream Team runs on food. So at all our turnarounds and everything, they're there. We look for our big red truck. And once we reach that, we know we're going to get a good snack and something to drink, and away we go. So been with Dream Team now 6 years, and it's been life-changing.
Oh, that's awesome. So yeah, before we get into all the multitude of questions that we have for y'all about Dream Team, we'll do a little bit of it like a catch up, because Kyle and I, we don't live in the same place and we don't get to hang out as much as we'd like, but yeah, we'll see what we all been up to, and then we'll kick it to y'all to see what y'all been up to. So Kyle, what have you been up to, man?
Well, aside from completing RAGBRAI, I built a camper van. My grandmother passed away in February, and I got her Dodge Grand Caravan, and I went and I converted it into a very simple camper van. So, of course, after you complete the camper van build, you have to take it out on, a road trip. So this past weekend, I went and did a tour of some Pennsylvania state parks. So World's End, Susquehanna River, Bald Eagle State Park, Whipple Dam State Park, and Greenwood Furnace. So still haven't overnighted in the van. Did a road trip. Wanted to make sure that everything rode well, nothing fell apart. But actually next weekend will be its inaugural camping trip. So doing lots of little odds and ends on it, making bug nets, the reflector type stuff. But overall, I did the whole build for right around $350 for materials, the paint, and everything aside from the mattress. So
nice.
Pretty proud of that. What about you, Trev?
I think after RAGBRAI, I was home for like maybe 24 hours before I had to leave for work again. So I was gone for 2 weeks for work. Came back, and I just got back a day or two ago. I was lucky enough to go up to Banff, Alberta. Went hiking with some friends up there for a long weekend, and thanks to my wife for letting me go while she watched the kids. So thank you very much. Yeah, it's a beautiful place. It was a little smoky from some of the wildfires up in Canada, but we got at least a day and a half of like clear skies. So it's a great place. Definitely want to go back. But all right, so on to our guest. Jeff, what have you been up to?
Well, outside of Dream Team, we just moved into a new house. It's not new. It's an older house, but it's in the woods. We got a lot of trees around there. We wanted to kind of get back out into the country a little bit more. So did that in March, and had for Easter, we had the family over, and we actually had a bonfire for Easter, and we did s'mores for Easter. That's going to become a new tradition.
Nice.
That was really cool doing that. Working on planting a wildflower garden. Really love the native Iowa flowers, the cone flowers, the black-eyed Susan, some of the sweet pollen that they have, and all the pollinators. So that's what I've been up to, trying to get that place shipshape.
Oh, I hear you with the pollinators. Like, I buy way too many plants at the beginning of the year and try to stick them all over my property. But yeah. I hear you on that. But
I was out watering them the other day, and found out that we have hummingbirds. I didn't know we had hummingbirds because I was watering. All of a sudden, this bird just kind of started buzzing around, and it's hot in Iowa right now, and it really wanted a bath. So now we got a hummingbird feeder out there, and we got some hummingbirds flying around, and the bird bath, and they're just having a good time.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
All right, Inez, what are you up to?
After RAGBRAI, I was trying to enjoy the rest of my summer because today I had the first day of school. So we went to the fair, and then we went to Adventureland, and it was really fun.
Oh, cool.
What grade are you going into, Inez?
8th.
Oh, that's an exciting year. I remember 8th grade. That was a long time ago for me, but well, good luck in this year, your 8th grade year of school. And I think with that, we should get into our main topic. So some of our listeners, maybe most of our listeners, may not know what the Dream Team is. So Jeff, how about you just give us a rundown, like what it is, what y'all do, so everybody's up to speed.
Sure. Yeah. The Dream Team, it's a 5-month mentoring program that we use bicycles to inspire youth. It's been around, we're starting our 27th season, so it's been around a while. It was started by former RAGBRAI director, Jim Greeny, he's known as, and wanted to give youth the opportunity to experience RAGBRAI that may not get that opportunity. So that's kind of how it started. It's kind of morphed into a little bit more of, like I said, we use a bicycle to inspire youth. So it's kind of a mentorship program where RAGBRAI is the goal. You know, we work hard through the season. We set that goal and work hard, and then we get to go on RAGBRAI. So we have 40 to 50 young adults that are part of our team. They're teenagers aged, like Inez said, 13, can be 12, but have to be 13 time they start RAGBRAI up through 18 years old. And they come to us with a professional referral, whether that's through a therapist or a school counselor or JCO, judicial court officer. So that's the youth that we serve and that we reach, and we provide a family. And that's what happens throughout that 5 months. We just become a family. And then to run this, it takes about 1-to-1 volunteers. So if we got 40 or 50 youth, we got about 40 to 50 adults that love kids, like to ride bikes, that will come alongside us and mentor all the youth. So that's kind of a Dream Team at a high level.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, that's great. So we've heard like Jeff's official summary of what the Dream Team is. Inez, what does the Dream Team mean to you?
What the Dream Team means to me, it means a lot to me, but mostly because it's helped me do better with like my mental health and my physical health. Because I didn't do any sports before Dream Team or before RAGBRAI. But I always knew my brother did, and I just wanted to be more physical. So Dream Team helped me a lot with that. So it's like a second family to me.
Oh, that's great.
That's awesome.
No.
So were you nervous when you started Dream Team, Inez?
Very.
Why is that?
I was nervous because since I didn't do as much physical like things as my brother or any sports, I was like, I'm not going to make it to RAGBRAI. I wanted to, but I didn't think I was going to be able to. But I met my goal and I was able to complete it.
Yeah, you crushed it.
Yeah, and it was a hard RAGBRAI this year, so
Yeah.
that's something to be extra proud of.
Agreed.
For our listeners, you can actually hear it in Inez's voice, but I don't think that she has stopped smiling since she came on screen. And from chatting with Jeff a little bit beforehand, I don't think that she stopped smiling, or from the sounds of it, she didn't stop smiling from day one when she started training. So
No. Inez always brightens up the room. She has a smile no matter what we're doing. I remember one of the rides, we was coming back from a camp out, and we was actually racing another mentor, Scott Matter, and his group, and we wanted to be the first one back to our home base. And Inez is looking at me like, we're going, let's go, let's beat him, And she's just smiling, and pretty soon it's like, all right, Inez, I've had enough of this. She says, no, we got to win. And sure enough, we got it, and that smile has just continued on.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, like it is great. You were able to smile through this year's RAGBRAI because, like, we talked about an episode that just came out with our group that we all did it with. There was a lot of challenges this year. The miles, the hills, and number one for us at least was the heat. It was just so hot. Like, so I guess, yeah. How did y'all handle all of those challenges just overall?
I'll go, Inez. I mean, RAGBRAI was hot. It was long. It was hilly. Talked to several other riders that have completed many more RAGBRAIs than I have. I've completed 5, and they said this is probably one of the worst ones they've ever done. But our team, they worked hard. We smiled a lot, like Inez is doing right now. Yeah. And we do a lot of training pre-RAGBRAI. We got, like I said, 5 months of training, so we were ready for it, and we enjoyed the ride. We enjoyed RAGBRAI. But it was a physical and a mental challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what did your guys' training look like? I know that you guys, if I recall correctly, you start out indoors, because of the Iowa winter, and then eventually progress outdoors. So.
Yep. So we start in March. We start with indoor training, and that's a lot of walking around, running around a track, doing some weightlifting, getting familiar with a stationary bike, because some of our youth have never been on a bike before. But the main goal of our indoor training is start to develop some sort of relationship, try to find out who our new youth are, and how they're getting along in life and school and what they enjoy. But then April rolls around and we move outside, and through April and July, we're on a bike, and we will travel 1,000 to 1,500 miles before we hit RAGBRAI. So we do a lot of riding. We do a lot of hills that are named. So once you get a hill that's got a name to it, it's a bad hill. What was one of the hills that you didn't like doing?
Sleepy Hollow and Soccer Mom.
Yeah, Sleepy Hollow and Soccer Mom Hill. Those are 2 of our main hills that we work on. But it prepares us for RAGBRAI. We also take the youth on 3 campouts, because some of our youth have never camped before. So we camp the week of RAGBRAI, so we train them. We ride on a Saturday. We do 40 to 50 miles. We roll into camp. We have to set up a tent. So we teach each other how to set up a tent, And then we have some fun activities. And then next morning we have to pack up our tent, usually at 6 o'clock in the morning. And Inez is smiling. What's the wake up call?
Wake me up before you go.
Wake me up before we go. That's right. We play music
With the cowbell.
With the cowbell. That's right. That's right. We use the cowbell to wake everybody up. I think there's people on RAGBRAI that didn't like tenting their our team because at 5 o'clock in the morning they heard a cowbell going, "Good morning, Dream Team." But that's all right. That's all right. So yeah, we have 3 campouts and they're fun. Do a lot of fun activities. I think one of the favorite ones this year was Newton. We actually had a little pond that we could do some kayaking on and some swimming in, and we had some fishing activities. So kind of introducing them to a lot of outdoor stuff as well, and anything that kind of circles around bicycle development and all that good stuff. We try to incorporate into our training program.
That's awesome. So Inez, had you ever been camping before?
No, it was my first time at our first camp out. So I was kind of confused on what to do, but I definitely got the help I needed. So now I think I've got the hang of it.
Nice. You want to go camping more, or was the week-long RAGBRAI in the heat enough?
Maybe, but I have a feeling we'd do it in a camper instead. But I'd probably be the single one having a tent outside the camper, actually enjoying the nature.
Nice.
So I never asked you, Inez, the Newton camp out, we had like rain from 10 o'clock at night until 5 o'clock in the morning. It just rained and rained and rained. Was that worse, or was camping on RAGBRAI in the heat worse?
Probably the heat on RAGBRAI because the rain. I didn't notice it because of all the dew that we've had for all our campouts. So.
Okay. Yeah, we found out on the Newton one that we had some tents that leaked. So we had to waterproof some tents. That's always fun when you wake up and there's water inside your tent.
Yep, you're floating in a lake.
There you go.
Your tent.
Yeah.
So you guys had a pretty big group this year. How many did you end up having? I know that you guys, you passed me at least 3 or 4 times. Yeah,
so we ended up taking 34 youth on RAGBRAI and that many mentors. So we had a team of about 68, 70 people going on RAGBRAI. So we had a big team. With our flags, everybody saw us coming, and it was fun having that many people on RAGBRAI, because when you got into towns and got to some of the activities like the slip and slides and all that, there was a group of us there. And I can remember one town we did a slip and slide and there was like 20 dream teamers there. And we kind of took over the entire activity. And it was fun watching our youth sliding down the slides and just bonding and letting loose and just having a good time. So it was a good time having that many youth along. It has some challenges. We have to transport a lot of tents, a lot of bikes. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of logistics behind the scenes to take that big of team on RAGBRAI. But at the end, it was very rewarding. We got a really good support staff that just kind of made everything go smoothly for us.
That's great. So you mentioned the slip and slides and all that. So was that your most memorable moment, Inez, or was there something else?
No, because I'm actually afraid of slides. So I actually didn't go on any. My most memorable moment was probably when it was our first day on RAGBRAI, and it was our meeting town. And there was this foam, and it was so fun. We took so many pictures, and then we were just taking pictures and just playing in it like we were little kids. So it was really fun.
That's cool. Jeff, what was your most memorable moment this year?
Yeah, I was thinking the foam, wasn't that by the ice dunk tank?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you get an ice dunk tank?
Nope.
Oh, I did. And that was so much fun, the ice dunk tank. So they had this dunk tank, and they fill it full of ice. And before I got in there, it's like, oh, we need more ice. So they brought in like 5 or 6 20-pound bags and dumped it in. I'm going, what? So I'm sitting here waiting for someone to throw the softball at the little target, and my feet are dangling in the water, and they're turning blue because the water was so cold. And once they hit that target and you fell in, it woke you up, but it sure felt good as hot as it was. That was fun. And then the storm that rolled through Coralville that night, that was kind of the most memorable night. We came together as a team because we had to, all of a sudden, we had a storm shelter. It was the Coralville Library. We were kind of prepared for this because we'd started talking to them saying, hey, if something happens, could we potentially move in your basement? And they said yes. So we packed everything up in about an hour. We moved down to the basement of the library. We had food catered in. And we just had a great time sleeping in the library. It was like a big slumber party. We had boys in one room, girls in another room, overflow mentors in another room. And it's probably the best night of sleep I had because it was air conditioning, and I still had my mattress I was sleeping on. So it was a great night. So that was an awesome time. Was that fun?
Yeah. Another most memorable moment of mine was when I got heat exhaustion on RAGBRAI on that day, but I had all the help I could get, and thankfully my mom let me complete RAGBRAI, so I'm very happy that she let me do that.
So that day there was no joke. It was so hot that day.
Yeah.
It was hot. It was hot, and we had a couple scary moments. We did have one youth suffer from heat exhaustion, and she ended up having to go home, unfortunately. And then Inez, we had a little issue with her, and then another young man. But we had a good support staff, our mentors. It's hard to train for, but yet we're trained to watch for, the heat exhaustion if the youth aren't acting right. I mean, we've just ridden with them for 5 months, so we kind of know their riding habits and everything. And we start seeing how they might start bonking just a little bit. And so get them in shade, get them some water, get them to air conditioning after that, and away we go. And Inez and the other young gentleman, he was able to complete RAGBRAI, and it's a memory. It's what Dream Team was. It was a challenging day, but through that challenging day, we knew we relied on our training and everything. We relied on the people around us. And that's why Trevor and Kyle will use a bike. People might think it's weird that Dream Team is a mentorship program around a bicycle. Well, a bicycle, if you think of a bike, you can't go from point A to point B without doing the work yourself. But also going from point A to point B, there may be some challenging times where you need some positive people, positive role models around you. So that's where your family, your Dream Team family comes in and helps you get there. So that's kind of why we use that bicycle to kind of help overcome goals and everything. So Inez just relied on her training. She relied on the self-confidence that she developed over those 5 months, and goes, I started to suffer a little bit from heat exhaustion. I rested. I took some drinks. My mom said I'm okay. You know what? I'm going to finish my goal. I'm going to finish this challenge, and I'm going to conquer RAGBRAI. She doesn't know this, but I just looked it up before this interview, and I'm a little jealous. She ended up with 2,078 miles for the season.
Wow.
As a 2,078 miles. She beat me by 30 miles. I had 2,048. I cannot go back in time to write more. So yeah, she ended up with 2,000. That's a lot of time on the saddle for a 13-year-old. And I know I couldn't have done that when I was 13.
No,
so that's
for
impressive.
sure. Yeah, that's
And
a lot of training for anyone. That's so much.
She was one of, I think we ended up with just about 15 of our youth had over 2,000 miles for the year. All of them was over 1,000 miles. So we had a lot of training miles, and they did a great job this year.
Yeah. And kudos to you, Inez, for finishing out the day. That day, it was hot. I riding into town, that last big hill. I rode up that, and then I came down, and then they sent us the camping, where we were going to be camping, and it was a few miles north out of town because we had a camper for our support group. And I started riding up that hill as I was going out of town, and I said, nope. And I rode off to the side of the road. I rode up a little hill, and it was in the shade, and I just sat down on the side of the road, and I said, you guys can come pick me up because, and I am so glad that they did, because the entire way out there was uphill.
Yeah.
So
hill after hill after hill after hill.
It was brutal that day. So I'm glad that you're okay. But I feel your pain. I didn't know if I was going to make it that day.
Yeah, it was really hot. Another thing is also over training and RAGBRAI, I never walked a hill.
What?
Now that is awesome.
Wow.
No,
Dream Team doesn't walk, do we?
Yup, we don't walk up our hills. We eat them for breakfast.
Yeah.
There we go.
I like that mantra. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
So, our youth, through all the training, we get to RAGBRAI, and they start riding the hills, and they see these people walk, and they're going, what is going on? Aren't we supposed to be riding our bikes up? Come on, let's go. And away we go. So it makes all the hard work, because RAGBRAI is fun. That's our celebration. We enjoy that. Training, Inez said Sleepy Hollow Hill. That's probably one of the meanest and baddest hills in central Iowa. When we first hit our training season, there's not very many smiles coming up to it, going through it, or at the top of it. And then they know they're going to be doing it the next day, and they're not very happy. So, but it's what we got to do. It trained us for RAGBRAI, didn't it, Inez?
Yep. All our hills have trained us for RAGBRAI, and I'm very thankful for that, because I don't think I would have survived RAGBRAI without our training. So.
Now, like in my head, I was comparing your guys' training or your group's training to like the training that most of our group did, and you guys blew us out of the water, like by so much. Like, Inez, you probably had double the miles that I had in the saddle going in easily. So, like, kudos to y'all's dedication and just go-getitiveness, to use a nonsensical word, but.
Oh yeah.
But I think something really important that we should talk about is the mentorship part of your program. So before we get into that, we usually ask people like how they were introduced to the outdoors, because it's kind of become a reoccurring theme that most people that do any type of outdoor activities, they didn't just wake up one day and said, I'm going to go do this thing. And they just walk out into the woods and go hiking. Usually somebody introduced them to it. So we'll kind of start with how were both of you introduced to the outdoors, or just cycling, if we want to do cycling. And then we can kind of talk more about the mentorship. So who wants to go first? How about you, Inez?
Okay. So my older brother, Aaron, he joined Dream Team during COVID. So he didn't get to do RAGBRAI, but his second year he joined, he worked really hard on his stationary bike, and he went biking, but I didn't know how to ride a bike. So I learned on my Walmart bike, and we took rounds around Easter Lake. And that's how I got introduced to the outdoors. I loved it and I wanted to give up so many times, but I told myself, no, you can prove to your brother that you can do this just like he did. So that's how I was introduced to the outdoors.
That's awesome. Sibling competitiveness is always great. I have a younger brother, and yeah, like when we were kids, like I'm pretty sure we didn't like each other that much. Like we loved each other, but we're always competing, and we didn't become like friends until we were both out of college. So yeah, sibling competitiveness it's a real thing for sure.
Yeah.
But what about you, Jeff?
Yeah, so I was introduced to the outdoors by the person I admired the most and always wanted to be like, and that was my grandfather. He'd always take me fishing. I grew up in central Iowa, and he'd always take me up to Minnesota, a little town called Waterville, and we'd go fishing for the weekend for bullheads. And back then it was I think it was 100 bullhead limit per person or total, something like that. And I can just remember getting up early in the morning, wanting to get out there, go fishing with my grandfather and just talk about life and everything. And he was always so happy to be out in nature, kind of go talk about wildflowers. He'd always grow his fruit trees and had the huge garden. But learning to fish with my grandfather was my introduction to outdoors and a memory that I will carry with in my heart forever. It was a special time. So that's how I was introduced to outdoors.
Oh, that's great. Like I have very similar memories with it was my great grandmother. She introduced me into gardening and the outdoors. And yeah, it's very similar. That kind of hit me right in the feels because I have a very similar experience.
Yeah, just something about those mornings sitting on the lake, fishing pole out there, lying in the water, the sun coming over the horizon, and just sitting there with my grandfather talking, knowing that he loved me. He loved outdoors, and he took time to spend with me. It's good. Outdoors is good memories. It's a way to clear your head, open your heart, and just make lifelong memories.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's what. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
I was going to say that's why I like the Dream Team. We incorporate the outdoors in just a lot of stuff that we do, and there's a lot of memories there. There are times where myself as a mentor, I've had a bad day at work. Life is just getting in the way. But then I show up to our home. It's the 501, and I see Inez there smiling at me, and my life outlook changes. I know I'm going to spend it with a quality young lady. I know I'm going to spend some time on a bike. I know I'm going to be outside, and being outside on a bike, doing some physical activity is good for your mental health. It's good for anxiety. It just releases a lot of pressure, and it makes you feel good. It makes you feel good about everything, and you realize that the stuff that you're worrying about, you don't really need to worry about it because this is what life is all about. And I know that wasn't part of the question, but that's why I love the Dream Team and what it does and what it stands for and who we serve.
Well, you kind of beat me to it, Jeff, because that's what I was going to say was this is a perfect segue into, what does a Dream Team mean to you and that mentorship component, because it sounded like your grandfather was a mentor, very
Mhm.
influential, in your development, and that you're giving back.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we got. Like I said, we had 35 to 40 dedicated adults, and they're all volunteer adults. So they're giving up their time with their activities that they may want to pursue. They're giving up some vacation time to do RAGBRAI, to do these campouts or whatever it might be. But they care about the youth and they care about biking, and they want to combine the both. We all need good role models in our lives to talk to. We need a strong family around us to help us get through difficult times, and that's what our mentors. That's what they do. So I want to make for sure your listeners know that we're not a biking club. We may, like I said, we may use a bike. But our primary goal is helping youth. Inez is smiling there. She's going to make me misty eyed here just a little bit. But we had a youth. Like I said, they come to us with all sorts of different backgrounds and stories. And we had one youth that 15 years old, and his dad called me and said, "Hey, I just want to let you know that he wanted to have a birthday party." I'm going, "Okay, great." And, it's a birthday party. I'm going, "Awesome." But what was amazing about that was in 15 years, he never thought he was worthy enough, or he never meant enough to other people to have a birthday party. So he never asked for one. But through Dream Team and what we instill in the youth and the family atmosphere around them, he realized, you know what? I can't have friends over. I am important enough to do that. So that's just one story that touches me about what the mentors do, and what we try to do for our youth is to help them believe in themselves.
Yeah.
They may not like us all the time when we're saying, "Hey, you can't walk up Sleepy Hollow Hill. Get on your bike. Let's keep riding." Well, you're going to stop. All right, you can stop, get a breath, but then you got to pedal, and it's going to be harder to get going. But at the end of the day, it's that friendship. It's that lifelong companionship that we're developing. That's what being a mentor with Dream Team is all about.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I can hear it in your voice, your passion for it and how important it is. And I would love to hear how it goes both ways, because it kind of recharges your batteries too. Like you said, if you have a bad day at work, you can go in and get that joy, that happy out of it too. So that's just really, really great. And love to hear that kind of thing.
Some of our youth, they struggle with stuff that no youth should have to struggle with. And to give them the freedom to be themselves, to be able, whoever they want to be with Dream Team, and to know that, hey, we tell them our season starts in March, so we onboard in February, but to tell them we're going to set a goal, and that is to ride RAGBRAI, and they kind of look at you like, "What do you mean? I can't do that." But we didn't say we're going to set the goal, then we're going to work really hard, and we're going to help them dream big, saying, "Hey, we're going to have 2,000 miles underneath the saddle time you get through then to RAGBRAI." And then to see that progress through the season, and just see the self-confidence, to see the smiles, to see the light in their eyes, to see the interaction from indoor training to then to RAGBRAI, and how everybody develops into this one great big giant happy family who really cares for each other, is pretty amazing and pretty special, that you can only get through this program. So Jim Green, who started this program, he was a visionary. I don't know what he thought about when he started this, but he developed something special. He started something very special 27 years ago. Yeah. So it's pretty amazing.
So I have a question for Inez, because we've heard about how this has changed you and how you've grown. With Inez, I don't know if I put myself in your shoes at 13 and then I was told, hey, we're going to ride, between 1,000 and 1,500 miles in training, and then we're going to go do RAGBRAI. I'd be kind of overwhelmed, thrown into a lot of new things, a new group of people. You're not really sure. You said that you hadn't biked before, so you didn't know that. How did the dream team do? What sort of emotions did you feel whenever you came in and you heard this for the first time, and you're standing there with a group of people and looking around going, okay, are we going to do this? And then what did the dream team do for you to help you become successful, to actually complete that ride?
Well, when I walk into Dream Team for outdoor training, I'm always a little overwhelmed because you never know what to expect, like, ever. So I'm always like, okay, will I be able to do today? But then I know all the people around me and all the mentors are super helpful. So when I go up to them and I'm telling them how I feel, they'll let me know that everything's going to be okay and that everybody is with me no matter what's going to happen or no matter what I'm going through. So that helped me feel a little better about myself. And then I also had my siblings who also helped me, and then all my friends. But before that, I didn't know anyone there. So it was super scary. I was like, okay, I don't think I'm going to make any friends. So I think we're just going to be quiet. But no, I actually ended up talking to a bunch of people. So now I have a bunch of friends there, and I'm excited for next year. So.
Yeah, that was another question I had. Like, after doing one, you want to come back for some more?
Yes, definitely.
Well, hopefully next year will be less hilly and less hot. So it's
Yeah, we don't know where RAGBRAI is going next year, so we don't know how we're going to train. But I'm glad to hear Inez is coming back next year. She's going to be a leader of the team because she's got the personality to calm the new riders down and make them feel comfortable. And that smile is very infectious, and she's got a bright future ahead of her as a future young lady leader of some big something.
So yeah, we were talking about the mentoring a lot. So if someone out there that lives in the Des Moines area wants to become a mentor in Dream Team, how would they go about that?
Yeah, they could look us up on our website, dreamteamdesmoines.org. There is a volunteer button that they could click on and fill out some information, and then we would get in touch with them. They could send an email to info@dreamteamdesmoines.org. Follow us on Facebook at Dream Team Des Moines. We have a lot of postings going on there about activities and everything. If they like kids and they like to bike, we would love to talk to them about being a mentor on Dream Team. They can look us up at the fall. RAGBRAI is having a fall ride September 16th, I believe, Saturday. So we're gonna have a lot of our team there, and we're gonna have a booth there talking about what Dream Team is, and if you're interested in being a mentor, or even if your son or daughter is interested in joining the team as a youth rider, we're recruiting for next year's team as well. So yeah, we're excited about the upcoming ride, getting everybody back together. And Inez, are you signed up for the fall ride?
I think so. If I'm not, I'm definitely signing up.
That's cool. So that's one thing, Trevor and Kyle, that started last year. We developed these relationships, very solid relationships with the youth. It's a 5-month program, but then once RAGBRAI is over, we have a little celebration banquet, and that's been kind of it until March of the following year. So we implemented some optional rides where we're kind of keeping the team connected. We try to do 2 rides a month, and just kind of catch up on how school is going, what's happening. We invite the families along, so the families get a taste of some of the training rides, and we just continue the outdoor adventure. Yeah. It's different. It's different in the fall. You got the leaves turning. It's cool weather, and they're fun rides in the fall.
With the youth, you had mentioned, that folks can join the team, and early on you had mentioned that it's a professional referral. Now, what about are there any other requirements, equipment, or just an attitude, a can-do attitude, to want to ride a bike for 5 months and then do a really, really, really long ride?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. I'm glad you asked, because I kind of failed to mention that. The new riders, they come to us. We provide them with a bike and the equipment, the safety equipment, the clothing to enjoy the ride and to be safe. Then if they complete training and they complete every single mile of RAGBRAI, they get to take that bike and all the safety equipment and everything home with them. It's theirs. They've earned that. So, nice. Yep. So that's just part of it. Has got her, she earned her bike, and just like work, you work hard and you take care of it, and you got a bike, and then you get to bring it back next year. So youth, yeah, they just come to us and we make for sure they have all the stuff they need to have a successful season. Having a can-do attitude is a plus. It's not always required. There are times where we have youth that come to us that don't have that can-do attitude, but by the time about May rolls around, they're starting to believe, I can do this. And that can-do attitude starts, or that can't attitude starts turning into a I can do this attitude, and this is going to be fun. And wow, I'm glad I stuck with it. So that's always fun to see when someone does that. We had one young gentleman. Oh, he just did not like riding his bike at all, and he was just upset all the time. And we have a Monroe ride. That's kind of our qualifying ride for RAGBRAI, and it's a 65-mile round trip ride with about 15 hills one way and 15 hills back the other way. And it's usually hot because it's in July, and he just didn't want to do it. And his bike ended up being thrown in the ditch a couple times, and we're going, oh boy. Well, he got back to back to the Dream Team headquarters, our home base, did just fine. Then he got to RAGBRAI and a light switched and realized, I can do that. He ended up riding all of RAGBRAI, did 4 years of Dream Team, turned into be one of the best leaders that we've had come through that program since I've been part of Dream Team. And it was really neat to see how he matured. And him and his mom, they give credit to Dream Team on helping him change that attitude around. So there's just a lot of different stories like that we can go into. So a can-do attitude isn't always necessary. we will train on that. We'll work on it. It just makes life a lot easier at the beginning if you have it.
That's kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah. But then you got somebody like Inez who's always got that can-do attitude, and you know what? I'm going to ride every mile. I'm just going to be quiet. And she's kind of like a ninja out there, and she's kind of stealthy, moving around on that bike and riding up all those hills and passing everyone. And she did it.
Well, Trev, do you want to ask your favorite question?
I was just about to ask if you had any other questions before I get to my favorite questions. So I asked this of everybody, and you can kind of take it as you will. It can be about RAGBRAI within RAGBRAI or just life or whatever. But I always ask, what is your biggest outdoor mistake? So I think last question. I started with Inez. I'm going to go to Jeff this time.
Wow, my biggest outdoor mistake. I got two of them.
Go for it.
I think we'll start with. I grew up in the country, and I had my old Schwinn 3-speed bicycle, heavy, and I'd ride the bike a little bit on the gravel roads. But that kind of turned me off from bicycling because I was not enjoying it. So I actually went until about 9 years ago. So I went about, I guess I'm going to tell you my age now. I went about 40 years or so without really riding a bike, and that was probably my biggest mistake, because that in turn, as a father, I did not instill that love for biking into my children. So now they see me doing it, and my grandkids are seeing me do it. So we got bikes for the grandkids. So I'm trying to make up for that mistake there for my children. So yeah, my daughter sees me doing RAGBRAI, and she's going, holy smokes, if I ride a mile, I'm tired, let alone 500 miles. So yeah, if I could go back and change something, that would be it right there.
So Inez, what about you?
This one was actually on Dream Team. So we had an outdoor training ride to Berwick, and we used the sidewalks and like the crossing lights. So the crossing light had a red hand, and I thought that meant to stop. So I pressed on my brakes, and Jeff was behind me, and he almost crashed into me because I stopped, because I didn't know that we could look left and right, and that if there were no cars, then you could just go through. So I never knew that. So I almost made Jeff crash that day. But then he taught me, so now I don't do that anymore.
Well, you learn. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And it's better to be safe than sorry in crosswalks.
Yeah, agreed.
Yes.
Ask me how I know.
Well, so I guess for the last and final question is there something that we should be asking you that we haven't?
So yeah, that's a great question. I think you could have asked a little bit, how would someone go about trying to start another Dream Team program like this in their area? It was my wife that actually introduced me to Dream Team. And I think there's opportunities for bike clubs in other areas to partner with local youth organizations and to start introducing youth to the love of outdoors through biking. To do this program, it's all volunteer ran, but it does cost us a lot to fund this organization. So you could ask me, how would someone want to give to the Dream Team to support our mission? That's the question you should have asked me.
Yeah.
How do you guys fund the program? And it's through donations of people all across the country. So I guess I'm going to tell a little story about that. We have there was this one gentleman that rode RAGBRAI. He rode RAGBRAI for 18, 19 years, lived up in Minnesota, not even from the Des Moines area. He had a group of friends, and they always saw Dream Team on the road. And they're going, man, really like them. They're really polite. They're calling out. They're safe. They're having fun. And he passed away here a couple of years ago, and his friends contacted me, and they started a donation fund where they're helping purchase road bikes for some of our youth. So it's kind of cool the impact our youth has made on RAGBRAI Nation and how it has impacted their lives and seeing that. So I just want to thank that bunch of friends there. And I think Inez's brother, Aaron is actually getting one of the road bikes for next year. So he's pretty
awesome.
super pumped about that.
He has been. He won't stop talking about it.
The downfall of siblings.
Yeah.
Well, all right. I think it's about time to bring it home. So, yeah, Jeff, could you go over again, like the best way folks can reach out and follow what Dream Team's up to? What's going on?
Yeah, they could follow us on our website, dreamteamdesmoines.org. We're on Instagram at Dream Team Des Moines. You can send us an email, info@dreamteamdesmoines.org. We're on Facebook. Look us up on Facebook. Like us, follow us, promote us. We would appreciate that. We're also on YouTube and LinkedIn and all the other social medias. If you just start looking for Dream Team Des Moines, you will get us.
Cool. And I'll put all that in the show notes. So it'll be really easy for folks to click on it and go straight to the places they need to go.
Awesome.
But yeah, as far as the podcast, if people want to support us, the best way to do that is rate us 5 stars and write a review. I think Spotify and Apple Podcasts are the places to do that nowadays. The podcast Instagram is @MereMortalPod. If you want to send us a note, our email is adventuringformeremortals@gmail.com. We also have a Discord server if that's your thing. The invite link is in the show notes as well. Kyle, as everyone knows, has no social media presence whatsoever. So just keep waving at people that look like they could be named Kyle in Central PA or otherwise. And my Instagram is @Trevor Bowman, 2 L's, 2 N's. Jeff and Inez, thank you so much for coming on. This is a great conversation. And yeah, I guess we'll talk to everybody next month. All right. Bye.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.